Okay. Now we're going to talk about a specific topic that we picked out, which is planned obsolescence. And basically, that means I looked up the definition, and it means it's a policy of producing consumer goods that rapidly become obsolete and so require replacing. Yeah, it's a topic that's very much in something that we need to talk about today. I think because it's important to make sure that that as designers we're designing things that are in line with the situations around us, and that hello, sorry. Oh, my connection is bad. Yeah, so I was saying, as designers, I think it's important that we design according to the situation that we're in. And planned obsolescence was a strategy that was used in a time where consumer society was booming and all that stuff. And today it's contributing to pollution. It's contributing to this consumer society, which is not great for the environmental impacts that we're seeing. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it, and I don't know, the kind of maybe the strategies that you've adopted against it, or your experience with it, or if all that.
It's an interesting topic. A couple things, just as a precursor to all this. I think there's a perception out there that companies intentionally do this, meaning bake in the inability to repair to somehow harm the consumer, or there's perhaps ill will. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. Maybe there is in some instance. And there's some offenders. You've got Apple, for example. I'll just pick on them since they're a big company. They're using adhesives and products, special screws, obscure and very hyper specialized manufacturing processes, right? At the same time, they market their products as being environmentally friendly, meaning, hey, we're willing to take on the responsibility of disassembling, recycling, and repurposing these products. Cool. I struggle personally with companies because companies aren't inherently moral or ethical, and they may market themselves in a certain way, but it's hard to really kind of see behind the curtains and what actually happens.
Yeah.
Our proximity to an event can often affect how we feel about it, and using something like an iPhone, I don't think about the rare earth minerals that are mined to produce this thing. I don't think about, even as I trade this thing in, as a designer, I don't often think about, okay, as I trade this in, okay, is this actually being recycled or responsibly disposed of, repurposed? I don't know. So that's the first thing. I don't think that there is necessarily malintent. However, I wish that companies would be a bit more forthcoming with what actually happened, and kind of pull the curtain apart and say, here's what we're actually doing. Here's some video, or hey, you can come check out the process. A bit more transparency, if you will. The other component to this, I think, is the consumers. Something like this, even though I did say design is boring, I would argue that this thing is boring. In its physical manifestation, it is boring, meaning it's a fairly simple object, well executed, and for a designer, that's interesting. Wow, they got the tolerances so tight, and look at this finish and all that, but it's not necessarily evocative or moving in its presence. And there's almost a march toward efficiency in size, scale, and presentation of products. It's the biggest screen we can fit in this device. How can we make it the thinnest, most dense thing possible with the best battery life, best reception, all that stuff? So there are compromises we made, and I can understand on the one hand that if, for example, I'll just pick on the battery placement of these devices, they are incredibly, it's not something that as a user I can do myself.
Yeah.
And I'm old enough, let's say how old I am, but I'm old enough to remember when cell phones had replacement batteries.
Yeah.
You could take these things apart, put them back together,
I'm old
change
enough.
your battery. Okay. You could walk around, you could charge your phone and have backup batteries and not have to charge your phone for 2 weeks if you wanted.
Yeah. Actually,
Right?
my friends and I, we used to have Blackberries right before iPhones
Okay,
started.
okay. Now I go back to the Nokia days.
Oh, right,
Those
yeah.
little candy bar phones. I used to design those candy bar phones too.
Really?
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff with Motorola, LG back in the day.
Okay.
But was it LG? No, it was QSR.
Okay.
Motorola LG. So where's it going with this? Oh, so these products aren't serviceable. And it's not just the iPhone. I'm picking on the iPhone, but there's other products because there's an attempt to create desire for something, like making it as thin as possible or as efficient.
Yeah.
Now, if a company were more responsible, they could say, hey, we're actually going to use standardized fasteners. We're going to construct this in a way that allows consumers to repair. That comes with some risk. So I understand from the company's perspective, hey, if people are getting into their own devices,
Yeah.
that means we're going to have to now take on additional liability for service, or if something breaks and having to deal with that headache. So my point in saying all this is there's almost a tension between the assumed desirability of these, and I'm picking on consumer electronics specifically here, desirability of something and the serviceability of it. And I'm not sure what the answer is because I do understand from the company perspective why they do what they do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always sit well with me when I actually think about the products I'm using. And go, oh wow, well, in a few years, this thing's not going to be as useful. What do I do with it? I'm going to have to throw it away or recycle it. And even then, I'm trusting, hoping, I should say, that the company or the recycling refurbisher is actually going to do their job. I mean, I've seen news articles in the past where companies have been caught. People that purport to recycle things have been caught just disposing of them. As in some cases, a larger company may outsource this recycling refurbishing process to another company. That company B collects whatever contracted amount of money there was for the recycling process, but then they don't follow through, right? So even just things like that happen. So in terms of planned obsolescence, I know I'm going on and on here, but
no, go ahead.
I don't know that it's necessarily a thing, meaning intentionally done to encourage people to buy extra products.
Okay. Yeah.
However, I do think, and we've seen, I keep going back to the iPhone as an example, perhaps because it's so ubiquitous and there have been billions of them made. But there was a particular incident with the iPhone 6 where Apple was not transparent about some throttling practices that they had implemented in the software that basically slowed your phone down because the battery was draining. They didn't tell the consumer that was what was happening. And so I remember almost this psychological effect of like almost being gaslighted where you're like, oh, is my phone actually slower? I don't know. I mean, the new iPhone's coming out and it seems like my phone's slower, but Apple would never say. Eventually they were caught and had to implement a battery replacement program. Well, guess what? When people were able to replace their batteries, the phones sped up and they were useful. So I think there's opportunities like that exist with products. I do miss the days. I'm also old enough to remember when tailors, at least in the United States, were more of a thing, or shoe repairmen, or repair people. I remember my parents taking parts of cars to a machine shop to say, hey, can we refurbish this so I can extend the life? Right? So it seems as though culturally, people have become accustomed to more of a culture of disposing things rather than dispose and replace rather than repair and appreciate and extending the life of things. And that's unfortunate.
It is, yeah, it is. I mean, it is, and it has been this kind of culture of, okay, well, the next iPhone's out, and my phone kind of slowed down now, and I'm just gonna get the new iPhone. But we are seeing other companies starting to take over that. I mean, Apple, I wouldn't say is specifically battling this kind of consumer society model, but you do have a company called Fairphone, for example, that was created in the Netherlands. And when you buy the phone, I don't know if you know the brand, but when you buy the phone, it doesn't come with a charger. Because it's that universal charger that everyone definitely for sure has at home. And they give you a little screwdriver, and it's basically a phone that you can take apart as much as you want, and they tell you that you have all the parts, and at the back you can pop off the back very easily, kind of like the old phones used to be, where you can pop off the back. You have the battery, the camera, and everything, and you can just unscrew everything and take it all apart. And for example, if your camera breaks, you don't need to buy a new one. You just buy a new camera off their website, and you can just replace it yourself. And so I'm seeing a lot more initiatives like this, where companies are reviewing the way that existing products work, and trying to make them repairable by the consumer. And that's pretty cool, because that way you're just throwing away the camera, or you can even send it back, I think. Again, with the question of recycling, I think that's why also with the green movements and ecological movements and stuff like that, they're moving away from recycling a little bit and trying to do a lot more reusing, and re-injecting and secondhand initiatives and stuff like that, because recycling is so opaque. Like, you can't really know, okay, so now I've put my my cans and my paper and everything in the recycling bin, but I don't know what's going on after that.
You asked, part of your initial question too is there anything about my practice specifically in encouraging this avoiding planned obsolescence? And I would say yes, where possible. I think being a designer, like part of being a designer, and maybe a bit of my struggle throughout my career, is aligning my values and morals with what I do and the reality of what we do. So if I design something that I know has a short lifespan and isn't meant to be serviceable or have longevity, I often feel conflicted. And so in some ways, I do other things than just industrial design to kind of satisfy my creative outlet without necessarily harming the environment as much. But I do try and push clients if possible. I'm working on a project right now, actually, where on the one hand it would be cheaper to have an injection molded housing, but we are trying to experiment with aluminum in an extruded fashion to see, okay, perhaps this is more durable for the product, given the environment it may be in, but also, and it's not going to look the sexiest or the coolest, but hey, it's likely going to be more serviceable. And in the event that it is disposed of, we actually have some material here that can be used. So I try and do things like that. And then on a personal level, the other thing I try to do is ask myself, do I really need this? When I'm about to purchase or acquire something, do I really need this? Is this filling a gap in my life that doesn't already exist? Okay. Is it really that unbearable for me to use my phone another year, or wear these shoes for a bit longer, or whatever the case may be? Is it really, do I really need a new couch? Or is there something I can do to extend the life of this item?
And coming back to the iPhones as well, because that is a big topic with planned obsolescence, because there are a lot of, I don't know if it's conspiracy, but
there's conspiracies about it, like, oh, Apple just right before the new phone comes out, something goes wrong with your old one.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also the fact that they tell you if you open this phone and try to fix it, I don't know what the rule is. We can't you
You've
fix it
lost your
again.
warranty,
Yeah, and
or
you've lost your warranty and stuff like that. I opened mine up because it's an iPhone 6, and I'm going to replace it soon.
okay. But you've had it for what, 4 years, right?
I've had it, yeah,
Just
I've had
about.
it for a while, yeah.
Yeah.
And I opened it up, and honestly, I mean, I don't know if maybe it's because also I have this experience with taking products apart, and maybe I have some kind of logic in my head that I've acquired, but I don't really think that it's that hard to fix an iPhone. Like I mean, the thing is, you have to buy the tools. But I
Yeah.
honestly, like, in France, if I were to fix my own screen to get to get my phone fixed in a repair shop or go to Apple, I would have to pay upwards from like 60 euros, which is way too much for me. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go online. I found this kit and a screen for 25 euros, the whole thing for 25 euros. I just ordered it, and I popped off my screen, and I looked up a tutorial on YouTube, and I fixed it, and it works now.
Awesome.
And I mean, it's also, I feel like that's also something that companies also do, is discourage their clients from repairing.
So my conspiracy around it is that it's not as lucrative or economically beneficial for a company
Yeah.
to service products as it is for them to sell you a new one.
Exactly.
So you bought a screen repair kit for $25. Apple may say, well, hey, your phone is 4 years old.
Yeah.
How about you buy the new one for 800 euro? So I think there's more upside to selling new things, and with capitalism, we have this relentless push for more and more increase. At least that's my perception in the United States, where we are, or where I am, I should say. And unfortunately, design oftentimes is a subset of that. You may argue that it's possible to change a system from within, but I think on a topic like this, planned obsolescence, or even the impact of design on the environment, it's going to take collectively taking a stand, and using our influence where and when we have it to make those changes.
Yeah, because it is true that you are like, as you said before, you are designing for others, and you do have these constraints that you have to follow. So you're not always at liberty to make the call to use environmentally.
Sometimes that constraint is company says, hey, this is the budget to make the product.
Yeah.
We're going to make it for $20 and we're going to sell it for 600. So make it for that much. And at that point, and this is an extreme hyperbolic example, but at that point okay, cool, my manufacturing processes are now limited. I know that there's going to be certain constraints that are going to force me into a position where I'm not being as responsible as I could be.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's when
then I'm left. Then as a designer, I'm left with a choice. Do I say I'm not working on this project and I quit, or am I going to do it anyways? And oftentimes we just do it anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where you're conflicting with your own morals, because now with this project, for example, you have to manufacture in a country where maybe you don't agree with their values or their practices, and then you have to manufacture with materials that aren't necessarily responsible, and you have all these things that it's not always the best.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Okay. Well, that's 20 minutes. I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. It was really interesting talking with you about all this stuff, and getting to know more about your career outside of Sketch a Day.
It was good. Happy to chat anytime.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. Yeah, maybe we can do like another interview and talk about more topics later on.
I'd absolutely love to.
We'll see. Yeah, thanks again. And if you guys don't subscribe to Spencer's page, go ahead. His page's name is sketchaday.com. Right, yes. And
yes, easy to find.
Yeah. And yeah, thanks again. All right.
Hey, thank you, Mia.